Hey, VA Nation, Jeff Newton here with National VA Loans. National VA Loans is powered by Stride Bank. And today, folks, we're going to talk credit. I know us out there in the VA Nation world, we have questions on credit because we get them all the time. So, to give a little different idea of credit and to have a little different perspective on it, I wanted to bring in a credit professional. So, we're going to do that. So, let's get after it. All right, VA Nation, like I said, we are going to bring in a professional, and today we are going to talk all about credit with credit queen Becky Estep. Becky, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. How are you doing today, Mr. Jeff?
You know, it's a pretty good day here in Kansas City. It's beautiful outside. The sun's finally shining. We're got some nice weather, and it's kind of nice. I'm ready for summer. I don't know about you, but
Yeah, I'm in Oklahoma City, and yesterday was supposedly one of the hottest days of the index, and I always love summer way more than winter. It's a lot of fun.
for sure. Well, before we get started, I want to make sure that everyone knows how to contact you. Of course, to contact us here at National VA Loans, it's 855-956-4040. Of course, check us out at nationalvaloans.com. On the bottom of the screen, everybody, I've got the best way I think to contact Becky, and with her website creditcoachqueen.com, which, by the way, just so we're clear, I love the Credit Coach Queen. I think that's awesome. I love that. I
Thank
think
you.
I think that's a great way to do it because credit is confusing. You know, we get a lot of calls. I mean, I would say probably 25 to 30% of our calls are directly on credit and things about credit. And 95% of our calls, people have questions on credit. You know, they're calling about a loan, but they also have questions about, okay, well, you know, what kind of credit do I need? What kind of scores do I need? If my scores are low, how do I get them up? So I kind of wanted to hit you with a few of the questions that we get quite a bit of, and kind of get an idea from you for our veterans out there of some things they can do. So one of the things that we get quite a bit is, you know, tips on building credit. We have there's a lot of younger first time home buyers out there that are veterans, and you know, maybe they've been in the military for the last 4 or 6 or 8 years, and you know, credit has not been a big thing they've been, you know, thinking about. So we get questions on how to build credit. So what are some tips that you can give to our veterans out there?
So that's a great question. And by the way, thank you so much for inviting me to share my knowledge. I've been doing and helping people with credit since 2007. And so analyzed thousands of credit reports and started manipulating my own scores in my early 20s to get into real estate investing. And so, what some tips on just jumping in and getting started is have I know a lot of times people just recommend getting a couple of credit cards, and that's good. And just using them sparingly. In other words, you don't need more than two. So sometimes if you try to go out and follow Credit Karma's advice and they tell you to apply for like five credit cards at the same time, that actually holds down the algorithms longer and it takes longer to get your scores up. And so the sweet spot for credit bureaus is no more than 2 to 3 credit cards. And really, you don't need more than that because the main points of using your credit is to buy cars and houses, not to get over leveraged with a bunch of credit card debt. And but what most people don't realize is that's only 30% of your credit score is the credit cards. And so the other 30% of your score is having some sort of installment loan, like a small loan from a bank. I recommend locally it's called a credit builder loan. There's some good online ones that I've seen that are okay, and so that builds the other 30% of your credit score. So credit cards 30%, one small installment loan 30%. If you already have a car payment, that's the same kind of credit. So you're building 60% of your score by having both types of credit on your credit report at the same time, which builds credit faster.
That's a great tip. So because you know, I've been doing a long time too. I've been doing mortgages since 2002, and uh, you know, like I said, I get a lot of these questions, and you know, one thing I say, okay, well, find a credit card, and I always, you know, there's so many of them out there, and it seems like there's more every single day, and I utilize Credit Karma as well, and so I get think, oh, these credit cards you're matched for, and this one you're matched for, and of course now I'm a little more established, and that's the nice way of saying I've gotten old. But I'm a little more established, so I'm not looking for that, that credit card that's got a, the bigger limit or something like that. I'm usually looking for a 0% to transfer a credit card from one to another and lower the percentage. But is there a difference really in credit card? So let's take like a Credit One bank, for instance. I know they're a big one, and it's one that I tell a lot of people, hey, look, this is a good starter card. And maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm not, because I do. I hope not. But again, VA Nation, this is why we're having a professional on here that does this, because it makes it a lot better. But I use that one. Now I know they have an introductory fee and then a yearly fee and stuff like that. But I just kind of always assumed that as starting out and trying to build that, you kind of just saddled with that. You end up having to take that introductory fee or that yearly cost. But are cards like that better than, say, a store credit card or like a Sam's Club or a Walmart or something like that?
That's a great question. The distinctions in the cards. One, back to the Credit Karma subject, just realize that it's free. And so anything that's free means you're the product. And so they're getting you to and wanting you to apply for those things because, well, they get an affiliate fee every time somebody signs up through their thing. As well, they should. They're doing a service for free for your credit. But at the same time, okay, so credit one, if you're trying to get an unsecured credit card, meaning they just give you a card and you have then that's a pretty good one to get because you don't have to have perfect credit, or you can maybe even almost have no credit and they'll still approve you for it. I don't like the monthly fee that they charge on their cards. I've had them. I have one now. And so I usually call them and whine about that $8.95 a month fee, and then they get rid of it for me. So there's a strategy there. And then two, I think starting out with secured credit cards are good. And I think Capital One has some pretty good ones. And I think Discover Bank has some pretty good secured credit cards. And a lot of times they'll flip those over to unsecured at some point, and they don't charge all those fees that Credit One Bank does. And so that's how I would roll if I was given somebody that had no credit some advice. I have one on my website that people can get. It's still not my favorite one above Capital One and Discover, because Capital One and Discover, whenever you get to the unsecured side of things, has cashback rewards. And so that is a strategy for using credit, because you're going to get a 29% interest rate and you'll get 2% cash back, which really the math still doesn't work out if you're not paying it off every month.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. So if your sole purpose is to try to buy a house, then one small credit card, one small loan at a bank, 6 months of on-time payments, and bam, you got 700 credit scores. You're good to go.
Okay, well, let's repeat that because that's a great point. So a small credit card with now, okay, I'm going to dive into this a little further. So do you want to maintain a balance on there? Obviously, let's say, just starting out, you're going to have a $300 limit. You want to use it sparingly, but pay it off every month, right?
Yes. So my whole goal, whenever somebody comes to me and wants me to look at their credit and says, this is what I want, how do I get it? That's credit, business funding. There's so many subjects that touch on credit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I always say pay off your card every single month. Buy a tank of gas once a month and pay it off. And that's all you need to use a credit card for, period. You don't need it for anything else. And it doesn't have to be a high limit. And actually, so the way the algorithms work is when you max out a credit card, it lowers your credit scores. When you pay off a credit card, your scores go right back up. I call it like a flame on a fire, right? And so that's why that installment loan is so important, because that's like the log on the fire. It shows that steady Eddie monthly payment that you can make over and over again. So you don't want to pay that off fast, because credit history is 15% of your credit score. So the longer you have something open, the more history you have with it, and it helps build credit. When people are like, well, should I just go close all my credit cards? Well, no, because now you're closing off that history that you've had for all that time. And so you can let them phase out. Say you have 10 credit cards. You're like, I'm done with credit cards. Then you can let them phase out or use one every 6 months so that they keep it open, because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yep.
And so if you just let it sit there, then eventually they're going to close it, because there's such a thing called fractionally reserve banking. And for every dollar that they lend, they get to borrow. For every dollar that, say $10 that you borrow, they get to lend 100 times that, or 10
Yeah.
times that. Fractional, Google it,
Yeah.
fractional reserve banking. Anyways, so if you don't use their credit, then they'll go lend it to somebody else so that they can lend more money.
Well, that's a good point too, because I could show you my wallet. I've got a stack of cards in there. I have one that I use on a regular basis. I've gotten to the point now, because of the points and the rewards and all that kind of fun stuff, that we just use a credit card for everything we do on a monthly basis. And at the end of the month, we just go in and pay it off. Plus, it does make your banking a lot easier. You don't have 7,000 different transactions going through your bank account. But for the cards that I don't use on a regular basis, I try to maintain those every 6 months. Like you said, go in, just use them for something. I mean, a pack of gum, or gas or whatever it is, and then just pay it off, because then it at least shows that I've got some activity on there. And because you build up your, you might start out with a $300 limit or a $500 limit, and after you've had that card and you've successfully used it for 2, 3, 4 years, you might be at a $4,000 or $5,000 limit. And then if you stop using it and they close your card and close your account, well, that's $4,000 of credit that you no longer have available to you. And
and they ding you for it.
Yeah, they ding you for it. It's
so sometimes when I'm analyzing a credit report, just to add to that point, and I'm looking through to see where we can push scores, and they haven't used a card in 3 years, but it's still open, I tell them to go use it, because then that makes the last active date now, and it'll push the algorithms up. So yeah,
it's crazy. It's a puzzle. Credit is, and you've got to work it just like you work anything else. I mean, you have to, and because they'll work you if you don't, for sure. But I wanted to, before we go on to the next, like I said, we've got a couple things I wanted to talk about. Before we do that, though, so what is the difference between a major bank credit card like a Cap One or something like that, and say a Walmart or a Sam's or something like that? Is there a difference? Do the credit bureaus look at those differently?
They don't look at them differently, but if you don't have credit, or you don't have good credit, then all the store cards are going to turn you down, because their stipulations to lend in money is a little bit tighter, because they're smaller, unless they're like linked with the Synchrony Bank or something. But for the most part, like, I see everyone get approved for a secured Capital One card, because they're the biggest card there is, and so it's easier to get them.
Well, I did write that down, the secured Capital One card. That's a great note, and something I'll pass on to all of our VA specialists here. Again, to contact us here at National VA Loans, it's 855-956-4040. Of course, you can always reach out to Becky at creditcoachqueen.com. I love that website, by the way. That's a very good one. I think it's great. You can reach out to her at any time right there on the website. But that secured credit card is a great way to bring people in. And for those that don't know, a secured credit card is just, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's, say it's a $500 credit card. You deposit the $500 from your personal bank account. And then, of course, you have that money that you can utilize it and spend it any time. And then when it's empty, you deposit it again, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, of course. It's just like a debit card, except that it reports to the credit bureaus and charges you interest if you don't pay it off every month. So, but yeah, so secured, a lot of times we say it so fast, and we say it all the time, so people don't think through that, but that means secured with your own money.
With your own funds.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, those are some great tips on how to build credit. But how about for our veterans and active duty service members out there that maybe have built credit, and then, look, people on this channel that watch us all the time, they know, they've heard me say it, life happens. And usually it happens really fast, and it's got a brick at the end of it, typically. I mean, life just happens, and that's how it works. But so what kind of tips would you have for those people out there that maybe have just had a bump in the road, and, on a credit card here, they missed a payment? I mean, I'll just give you a perfect example. I've got a customer right now. They're flush they have money in the bank. They're established. They're 35 years old or so, but they do a lot of things cash. But they had a credit card, and it was a silly, like, K Jewelers or Jared's or something like that, and they just forgot to make a payment. Literally just forgot to make it, and so they had a 30-day late. So what kind of tips would you have on something for people that need to maybe rebuild or to build up their credit a little quicker if they've got some credit out there, but they've just had a few dings and bumps in the road.
It's a loaded question.
I know it.
Yeah. So come to me and I'll look at your credit and tell you how to push the scores. I mean, technically that is because so late payments, a lot of people don't think that, oh, I just have a slow pay, no big deal. But it is a big deal because that's the first indication that you're going to default on a loan. And so the way that lenders look at it, because it's all about risk analysis, they want to make sure they're going to get paid back to the person that did it. It's like, I just totally messed up and forgot that thing, but for your credit, it's a 50 to 100 point drop in your score. And so not only that, it's like a cut. I call it a cut on your skin. And so it takes 6 to 12 months to heal from that. And so somebody gave this to me the other day. They said, so you're like the Neosporin. You come in and help it faster. And so, yes, I do help. If there's a way to push the score back up, I can't always get new late payments off. That's like one of the hardest things to get off of a credit report. I can always try and dispute it and say, hey, you didn't notify us that you're going to make a late payment, because honestly, in the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it says that they have to notify you that they're going to put a late payment on your credit report. And so we can fight it from that angle. It's a 50-50 chance whether we can get it to go. But there might be some other dings on the credit report that if we got them removed, because according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, everything has to be 100% true and accurate on your credit report. The amounts, the dates, the account numbers, everything on that line item has to be 100% true and correct. And if it's not, then legally it has to be deleted from the credit report. And that's kind of my credit secret loophole. So now you know my secrets. But yeah, and so that's how we do it. I look to see what we can do to counteract and build good credit, and then I look to see if there's anything that maybe if we dispute older negative things, because we all have seasons in our life where things aren't perfect and life isn't perfect and we lose jobs. I mean, the top 3 reasons that people come to me for credit repair is job loss, health reasons, like they got medical hiccups, or divorce.
I knew divorce had to be in there. There was no question.
Yeah.
That's always got to be one of those reasons for sure.
Unfortunately,
yes. But honestly, like you said, there's you have ways to fight and combat that by using their rules, of course, which is great. I mean, those rules are in place for a reason. And, our kind of expertise ends at, okay, hey, look, your credit score is a little bit low. You owe $10,000 on this card. Your credit card or your limit is $10,000. You need to pay that down, and your scores will go up. I mean, that's kind of where our level of expertise is. And not like that's a lot of expertise. That's just usually common sense. But you usually get 2 ways. Either get them to increase your credit limit, which right now is playing hell. I mean, I'm telling you, credit card companies, I've got a credit card company that I have had, for at least 6 years and never missed a payment one time and carry a very low balance on it, if any balance at all. And they just cut my limit by $2,000. I'm like, what are you doing? Why? And of course they sent me some long letter and I shredded it because to hell with them. I was mad. And so, but no, that's a good tip. And that's why whenever we do run into situations where it's like, okay, this is beyond our realm. This is something that we need a professional to come in, and that's when we send them your way, and so that they can talk to you and get the actual help that they need. Because I know that I sat down, I don't know, probably 10 years ago with another credit company that I had worked with in the past, because these are our customers that come to us, and so before we ever pass them on, we have to do some research and make sure that who we're working with is quality and they're not taking advantage, because just like mortgage people and loan people, there's a lot of bad apples in the cart. And so you got to make sure that you find the right people. So, I've sat down with them before and I see some of the work that goes into what you do on your side when you're working to help clean up. I don't know if clean up is the right way, but I've always said clean up someone's credit. But I see the work that goes in, and there's a lot of it's manual labor. I mean, it's not, you're not out building a bridge, but damn, you're building a case, and it's a lot of work. And it's not for the meek. It's not and I think when you're going at a company like that, like say a Cap One or a Bank of America. I mean, these are large, multi-trillion-dollar companies like a Chase. My goodness, they're giant. And when you're going after them, I don't want little old me doing it. I need a professional like you to go get them for me and handle it for the customer. So that's really where we come into effect. So we kind of talked about a little bit of this already, but one thing that we get a lot of is, what factors affect and our credit the most. And you touched on, the 30% of it is credit card use or credit cards, 30% is installment loans that really affect. And then, that other 40%, can you kind of shed a little light on what else would, yeah.
Mortgages, your area of expertise. So that's how you get that other 40%. So a lot of people that come to me for credit repair are looking to try to buy a house. And so I forget to talk about, I say it whenever I'm writing it all out for people, but either way, so mortgage is 40% of your credit score. And so you want to have the full picture, of course, and most people want to do that. And so I think there's two things that I'd like to touch on just because I want to make sure we know this.
Yes.
This is so important. So get out a pen, piece of paper, and write it down. If you have a collection that's more than 2 years old, it will could potentially lower your credit scores if you pay it off. So don't go and pay off a bunch of old collections.
Yes, say that again. So old collections, because I've been saying this for a long time because, again, we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'll look at it and they're like, well, I say, okay, this collection's old, this collection's old. Like, well, I can pay those off. Don't touch them, right?
Don't do that.
Yes.
Yes. That's like number one rule. Do not pay off old collections. On a scale of 1 to 9, 1 being good and 9 being bad, a collection is considered a 9. A paid collection is considered a 9. Settled is considered a 9. They're all considered equally negative. How do I know that? Because before I started my credit repair company in 2007, I was a mortgage broker and I used to get these fun credit reports. And the way that those credit reports read is they had, like, if it was a good account, it was a 1. If it was a bad account, it was a 9. And so upon analyzing those, settled collections and paid collections were all 9s. So number one thing, never pay full price for an old collection. Always try to settle it for half or less, whatever the debt is. And don't pay it unless a lender tells you that you have to pay it in order to close a loan. That's my biggest advice, because I see people come to me and they've paid off a bunch of collections and they're like, my score dropped 100 points. And I'm like, well, now let's go back and dispute stuff and try to fix what you did that you didn't have to spend money on, because maybe I could have disputed it, got it removed, and it would have helped your credit score the most. Remember, my whole goal is to save people as much money as possible and to get it done in the fastest amount of time possible from whatever damage you did before you came to me. Because remember, I didn't mess it up. I'm just going to show you how to fix it. And then, that's the biggest thing on that side of it.
It's crazy. So, and I get people all the time will pull credit, and I'll be talking to them on the phone, and I've got their application, and I'm getting ready to pull credit, and they're like, hey, just so you know, there's going to be like 3 collections that show up, but they're from like 5 years ago, and I just went in and paid them off. I'm like, no, why did you do that? They're like, well, because I figured it'd be best to pay them off. And listen, I understand. I mean, that makes logical sense, right?
We want to do the right thing. It's not the right thing. It's just according to their rules, they want to charge the most amount of interest that they can, because banks make money off of lower scores. So they don't want us to understand all the rules. They want it to be all backwards.
It's kind of like health. I mean, don't get me wrong. We won't get into healthcare. I could get into that. That's a different podcast for a different day. We might have to have a drink on that one, but it's paying off. That's a lot of times where I've got to send someone to you, or it's like, okay, look, they just paid off these 4 collections. They hadn't reported for 5 years. Now all of a sudden they've reported again because now they're paid off. What do we do? And that's where you've got to go in and you got to go to work to get those things removed and do whatever you can do to help get those scores back up, because it's a giant drop. I mean, so I hope everyone's listening to this, and please write that down. That's some great information. If you've got old collections, let them be old and let them lay there. I mean,
because after 7 years, they time off the credit report anyway. Statutes limitations for them to even be on a credit report is 7 years from the last active date. So if you have something that's sitting there for 6 years, a lot of times lenders don't have to even address it in
No.
order to get a loan done, which is what's so amazing. People think, oh, I screwed up 5 years ago and I can never get good credit again. It's like, nope, that's not true. 7 years, just like the Bible says, 7 years for all the clean stuff. And so I feel like there's something to that, that they set that up that way on purpose or something. At least I'd like to think they did.
I would like to think there was a reason behind it. Well, that's such good information. I mean, it's so necessary for people to know that, because I agree. They're doing what they feel is the right thing. They're owning up to the debt that they had. But there's nothing worse than the stupid AT&T bill that you forgot about that was $48 from 5 years ago. You went in and paid it off, and now your credit score drops 100 points.
Sure.
That
Well, and if you really feel that passionately about it, buy the house and then go pay the debt off.
you go
Like,
pay it.
I'm not saying don't, you know what I mean? And then let your score take the hit, and then wait for it to time off, or let me dispute it or something. I don't know, but it seems bad. My whole goal is to save people money.
Well,
So
and because good credit, and this is something else that we want our veterans in active duty to know, is good credit not only affects your mortgage rate or your home loan rate or your car rate. It affects everything. It affects your homeowner's insurance. It affects your credit cards. It affects
it
every.
affects your
But
car insurance, security clearance. It affects every single thing that you do, unfortunately.
yeah, I can't think of anything that, I mean, you go for a job, they pull
Hmm.
your credit.
They
You
do.
go to rent an apartment, they pull your credit. I mean, and it affects everything you do. So having good credit, number one, needs to be the goal of everyone. And I know it sounds silly, but it really, really does. And because it affects every walk of life. And if there's something that, I mean, trust me, credits is, like I said earlier before we even started the video, is credits is confusing as the tax code to me. I mean, no, I don't understand it. The algorithm seems to change, and I mean, the cost has extremely gone up. And since, I remember when I started doing this in 2002, a credit bureau for two borrowers for three bureaus was like $19. Now all of a sudden it's like $190.
It's insane. I cannot believe how much money you guys got to shell out to even pre-qual somebody for a loan. I'm like, holy wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so, you know, the credit monitoring company that I like to use is $25. And so sometimes it might be worth it if somebody's like, hey, I got horrible credit. Well, let's go check it out here first and see where we're going with that before we even go to to the loan buying process, to see if we need to do something first. So
That's a great point. That's a
and
great
by the way, just as a plug for me, so I like to study things. I nerded out on credit, so I've been to several boot camps and went to learn the algorithms and talk to some of the people that were higher ups at Equifax, and how they calculate credit scores. Like, I completely nerded out on that. And then I messed up my own credit and had to in 2008 and had to start over again. And so when I did that, I went in and started learning all the business credit stuff. So I learned how to build business credit and your business names, gain access to funding for a business. And then now that I've got a lot of that stuff dialed in, and kind of messed that all up too. That was a different season of my life, by the way. So I learned every way to get business funding, and I learned every way to mess up stuff in taxes. I learned a lot about messing up your taxes and business stuff, which is not fun. But I've worked my way through all of those things to get to the next phase of learning. And so now I'm more on the financial side. And so I found a money management system that shows people how to GPS their money and pay the least amount of interest in the fastest amount of time mathematically possible, just like a GPS for your car. It just says, put your money here, here, and here. And then to the point that they've got that program, that money management system, so dialed in that it shows people how to pay their mortgages off within 5 to 7 years using the same money that they already have.
Oh, wow. It sounds like we're gonna have to do this again. I want to hear more about that for sure. We're gonna have to do
Yeah.
this again for our veterans out there. This is that sounds really interesting, actually.
It's very powerful. So
Yeah.
it's like creating generational wealth for people is what it is. And so that is the thing I'm most nerding out on now. I'm like, okay, you showed me all these other things that I need to do to help people. And now it's time to take our whole everybody to the next level when it comes to thinking about, we don't have to guess what the banks are doing with all our interest rates anymore. We just type, put it all in that program, and then it shows us what to do.
That's awesome. Okay, well, guess what? You just booked yourself to come on again with us. So,
Yay!
because I definitely want to hear more about that and really dive into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, we work with veterans all over the country, heck, all over the world. I mean, we've closed loans in Africa and Germany, and I mean, just everywhere over the world. And
That's amazing. I didn't know that about you, Jeff.
yeah, it's
Learn
really
more
cool.
about you.
I love working with veterans. I haven't met one I didn't like, and I enjoy it. And I remember last year we closed 2 loans in Germany. We closed 1 in Africa. Uh, Now, of course, they're buying houses over here. They're getting ready to PCS back to the country, and so they're looking for houses here in the United States. But
Awesome.
it's really cool. The time difference can be a bit tough. My
I
wife
just
wonders
said
when my
yesterday, I think I'm time dyslexic.
yeah,
Like,
me too anymore. My wife wonders when my phone rings at 3 a.m. every once in a while, but I remind her it's not the girlfriend. It's someone in Germany or something calling.
right?
And but it's pretty cool. We love working with veterans all over the country, and man, they have some really great questions, and they're trying to build wealth. And I've always said building wealth, one of the best ways is obviously real estate. I mean, but there, you look at these millionaires and billionaires out there, and yeah, they own real estate and stuff like that, but they're also using their money wisely.
Sure.
They're being smart with how their money's being moved and used. Now, they're probably paying a lot of professionals to spend all their time to do it, and they're spending a lot of money to do it. But if you've got some secrets on that, I'm excited to hear more about
Yeah.
that. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be
Yeah.
a good time.
That's awesome.
Well, I think we've answered a lot of questions, and I know we're going to get a lot more that come in. And so if they call us, of course, we're going to point them right to you and make sure to get them straight over to you so you can answer their questions. Like I said, we want professional people to do professional work, and it's my expertise is pretty limited when it comes to the credit, but that's why we'll move them right over to our credit coach queen, which I love that website. I like seeing it scroll across the bottom. It's a great one. And by the way, I think you need to add the Neosporin credit coach queen. The
There you go.
queen.
That's nice. We'll
That may be
speed up
enough
the
one.
process. That might be a good tagline. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. And you can probably trademark that somehow.
I'm sure.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. So if you want to, I know one of the other questions, of course, that we get a lot is how we can get negative things removed. And guess what? My answer is go to creditcoachqueen.com, reach out to Becky. She'll help you go through and analyze your credit to remove some negative stuff and to get you a credit score. Now, it's not a snap your fingers and it's overnight and it just happens. It's not how it works. Most likely you didn't get into the credit issues you have overnight. Usually they've built and they've taken time to get into that situation. The thing about it is having someone not only there to guide you, but to kind of hold your hand and drag you through it, because it is tough and it is, well, and I don't mean to drag through it in a bad
No, I know, but it's so true though, because I know what it's like to have bad credit. So it's really embarrassing. And so most people don't want it. It's almost like I'm a therapist in some ways. And I'm good at that. So because I have empathy, because I get it, because I've been there. And so, and I've seen every situation you can possibly think of. Every once in a while, someone will stop me with the new one. I'll be like, holy cow, I can't believe that happened or that's happening to you. And so there's ways to fight back things. But at the end of the day, it takes an average of about 6 months to get people back where they want to go. And they'll start seeing results in the first 45 days. And so I don't think that's too bad of a timeline whenever you look at the big picture. And so
I was going to say, in the grand scheme, 6 months is nothing. And you're right. It is an emotional. It isn't a. Okay, I can say it too because I've had bad credit as well. It's embarrassing. I mean, there's nothing I can remember the first time, and this is maybe I bet people can relate to this. But you're standing at the register at like a Dick's or something like that. Hey, we can give you 20% off if you apply for the credit card today. And you're sitting there, and if you know you have bad credit, you're like, gosh, dang it, man. I do not want to go through this. I don't want to go through this embarrassment of getting of some cashier sitting here telling me, sorry, you got declined. You're POS. I don't need that. I don't need that.
We turn into 5-year-olds again. Nobody likes getting told no.
No,
Who wants to get told no? So, and sometimes people don't apply for home loans because they think they're not gonna get approved. And so it's like, you got to start somewhere to get where you want to be. If your goal is to purchase that house, or purchase investment properties, really. So that's why, another reason why I really like that money management tool, because it'll show you how to pay off 5 houses in the same amount of time that it would have taken you to pay off your home loan. And so you know what I mean? Like, you can't beat that.
Yeah,
then you create some assets.
Yeah, we're doing that one. I can't wait for that. VA Nation, be on the lookout for that one, because we're going to have some fun with that. I think we're going to learn a lot of stuff, me included. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Well, Becky, tell everyone, number one, how to get a hold of you. I mean, we know we got the website, but I don't know. Is that the best way to reach out to you?
Yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to call me directly, it's 405-753-5388. And I know we talked about that before. Just go to my website. My phone number's on there too. And so it's not that all complicated. There's tons of ways to connect with me. I'm on all the socials. So if you want tips and tricks and all the things, go to my website, and all my little social buttons are at the top of the thing, and you can laugh at my videos. It's good. Or you can learn some stuff. So it's good. I have been curious since the moment that we got on this video of the picture that's behind you of the coloring, and I want to know the coloring picture.
This one?
Yes, that one. I want to know about it.
I'm glad you asked. That is, I've got a load of them here, a couple of them here. When my daughter she's in 6th grade now, getting ready to finish up in 6th grade. But when she was in, I don't know, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right in there, she used to come to the office with me in the mornings before, and then I'd take her to school. And she had her own office, of course, because she had to have her own office. And her office had colors and paper. And so she'd color me pictures, and they just stayed up forever. And I've got loads of them here where she drew pictures and stuff like that. So
I love it. That's my favorite picture in your whole background, just so you know.
Well, I will let her know, and she will smile real big on that one, I'm sure. We've even had her on a couple videos. Her and my son have come on some videos with me before, because they see the videos and then they wanted to get involved. And so, but yeah, thank you for asking. I'll let her know. She'll love that.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, this has been great. I've already learned something. Hopefully our listeners have too. And I know there's going to be questions. And so when they come to us, if they come calling us, I will make sure that we just push them right over to you, so they can get the real truth and the answers, and a good diagnosis of what their credit is, and the ways that you can help them, and show them how to, like you said, 6 months in the grand scheme of things is not a long time. Mm-hmm. So for you veterans out there that are renting, and you're renting because you're afraid that you don't have good credit, and you're afraid you're never going to be able to buy, when you get to that 8-month mark before your lease is up, reach out. Give us a call, 855-956-4040. We can look at everything to get pre-qualified. And if there is some things that need to happen, and there's some work that needs to be done, we'll make sure to put you in touch with Becky, and she can help and go through and get you ready to buy a home in the next 6 to 8 months. And really, if that's the end goal, then it's worth it, and it's worth the time that it goes in. I always tell my kids, I tell them a couple things. I say, first, I always tell them, I said, you only learn lessons through pain. It's either monetary or physical. That's it. Either it's cost you a lot of money and you're never doing that crap again, or it hurt really bad and I'm damn sure never doing it again. So that's how you learn lessons. And 2, if it's worth it, it takes time. If anything is worth it, if it's worth doing, it's going to take time. It's going to take a little effort. And that's just how it works. That's how the world is. I mean, not all of us just wake up every day and the sun's shining and it's perfect, and our world we go through and we got a little Tweety bird following us all day and everything's great. That's just not usually how it goes. Now, some people are like that. I envy those people, but I'd say 99.9% of us are not that way. We all have, everything we do, if it takes effort, it takes our effort, it takes our time, and if it's worth it. So 6 to 8 months, in the grand scheme, that's nothing. For a lifetime of good credit, because it's kind of like this, especially starting out. I don't know if this is the same as it, when I was 18, 19 and on a college campus, I mean, I was force-fed credit cards down my throat. They
Yeah.
want to put me in debt. I
Sure.
mean, my first job. So my first job was in sales, of course, when I was 18, and the manager of the I worked at a car dealership, and the manager goes, "Do you have a car loan?" I said, "No." "You have credit cards?" I said, "No." He goes, "Get some debt, or you'll go broke." I'm like, and so I got a car loan. Guess what? I ended up working a little bit harder because I had to
Right.
make more money, and he was right. But I know people get force fed that stuff, and then a lot of times you're too young to really understand, or you don't really think, okay, this isn't going to affect. Well, I won't pay this credit card. It's not going to affect me down the road. But of course, it does, and it follows you and continues to follow you. So if you can go in from having a bad credit situation to talk to someone like you that can help get you out of that situation and help rectify it, and not clean the slate, of course, but give you a instead of standing on the sand, now you're standing on concrete to move forward. I think that's one of the best things that you do for people, and it just gives them a new lease on life when it comes to feeling comfortable applying for that home loan, or feeling comfortable going to the car dealership and negotiating because you have good credit and you're a solid buyer. So now you've got the power to do that. Or feeling comfortable as simply as, hey, you get 20% off by applying for this credit card here and using your, okay, good. Give me the 20%. I'll take it. I'll pay the card off. Maybe I never use it again, but at least now I've got it. So I think I think it's so valuable. And I think a lot of people overlook that. So hopefully, VA Nation, you guys are understanding what we're talking about here. If you don't, of course, give us a call, 855-956-4040, or check out creditcoachqueen.com. Becky, I mean, as you can see, she's knowledgeable, friendly. She'll take care of you and make sure that you understand. I think that's another thing that I like to do on with mortgages. I don't want to just do your loan. I want you to understand what we're doing. I want you to follow with me. So because it just makes it easier in the future. And I think I feel like you do that the same way with our customers and clients that we send you, and the clients that you have. Is I'm not just doing this for you. I want you to understand what we're doing and why it makes sense. So
Yeah.
I think it's valuable.
Yeah. From the very get-go, I go through the credit report with my clients so that they understand and I don't do that whole monthly reoccurring forever fee till you cancel, because I don't like it when it's done to me. So I don't do it to people, if that's okay. But yeah. And then I wanted to add one bonus tip. We get a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
So on credit cards, if you leave a $20 balance versus paid it off completely, it'll actually get you 3 to 5 more extra points. And so pay your credit card off every single month for 30 days before you know you're going to go make a big purchase like a car or a house. Leave a $20 balance on there because it gets you a couple extra points.
Oh, and the interest rate on a $20 balance is nothing. So
compared to a 1% savings when
on
you're
your
doing a home loan.
Amen to that. No, that's a great tip. That's a good, and excuse me, and that makes me feel good because I do tell people that same thing. I'm like, just leave a small balance on there, and because it does give you more points. So I picked up a few things over the years. I mean,
Well, of course, if you've analyzed credit reports as long, you could probably do my job in your sleep. It's fine.
oh no, I could not. No, I know what you do, and I mean, I say I know some of the parameters of what you have to go through and some of the legwork that goes into it. And nope, you are on the right side. I'm on this side. That makes the most sense. So I stay in my lane, or at least I try to.
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago I can't be everything to everyone, and it doesn't do me any good to try and do that either. So,
for sure.
But well, all right. Well, guys, Credit Coach Queen, reach out to Becky. She is great. You guys will enjoy talking to her, and she will do a great job for you, I promise, because her goal is to not only help you get good credit, but also help you be ready to buy a home, buy a car, and save money on everyday things like insurance and homeowners insurance, car insurance, even renters insurance for that matter, everything, and maybe even get that job that you're looking for because now you have good credit versus that 530 you're rolling around with right now. So it's a big deal, and she's going to be awesome to help you with that. Becky, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. VA Nation, to contact us, it's nationalvaloans.com at 855-956-4040. Of course, you can subscribe right here to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/National VA Loans. Make sure to click that subscribe button. You'll get alerted and notified of every time we're going to bring out any kind of new video, whether it be for credit or any kind of VA home loan option that's out there available to you. And if you are like me and you just kind of like to get stuff done, go to nationalapplynow.com. Nationalapplynow.com, you'll be able to download our simple, secure Stride Home Mortgage app. That application will be right under your smartphone. You can fill it out, submit your pre-qualification. One of our VA specialists will reach out to you right away to get you pre-qualified. And if you have a few credit hiccups, we'll make sure to get you in touch with our credit queen, Becky Estep, to help you be credit ready and home ready to buy a loan or buy a house. Guys, thank you so much for everything. Becky, thank you again for all your insight and all your tips. Guys, until next time, VA Nation, take care of yourselves and God bless.